Hey guys, it's just me. Had an extremely long week, so I don't know how much I can really talk tonight. But I've really wanted to do something that I haven't touched on yet, and that's um, signs that a, a teacher can look for that a child is being abused at home by an adult. Could be physical abuse, sexual abuse, just flat out mental abuse, or a combination. And I'm going to speak from personal experience because when I was growing up, after my first stepdad left, and things were awesome when he was around, I loved this man. After him and my biological mother divorced, things got really bad. She made a horrible decision and let somebody into our house that had ulterior motive. And by that, I mean he was trying to get my mother alone, try to push my brother and I out of the house. He succeeded in pushing my brother out. But I stayed behind. It was the worst mistake I ever made in my life. Uh, I got abused mentally, physically, emotionally. Every single day I was being hit. Sorry, I had hair. Um, it was a living hell. If I didn't have enough pens or pencils in my bag, yes, he would count them every day. I'd have a special number. I would be in trouble if I didn't fill out this ridiculous form and have my teacher sign it every day. What they taught me, I got in trouble. I was constantly being told that, I'm killing my mother little by little. How would I feel if she died? I mean, just all sorts of torture, really. And probably one of the worst things was having my room torn apart almost every day because it wasn't to his standards. I can't tell you the number of times that happened because it was pretty much every day. He used to do the same thing to my brother, but my brother got to the point where he said, screw it, I'm out of here. I want to go live with his father. I say his father because my father and I did not get along, and now he's dead. He wasn't the best person either. But more where I was going, stick with me here, because I'm giving you a backstory on what happened. My mother was irresponsible. She did not give a damn, and she pretended that it didn't happen. And what she did see, she even told me later that she just figured I was an out of control teenager who needed to be taught a lesson. Meanwhile, I'm having to kneel on a brick wall for an hour at a time while he drills me about ridiculous things and totally mind screwed me. If I didn't kneel straight up, I'd get hit. This went on for an hour at a time, pretty much a few times a week. If I was lucky, that was it. I would get smacked in the back of the head a lot. But he had me kneel with shorts on, so my knees and chins would dig into the bricks. Eventually, I think fifth grade is when he really entered the picture. And this is where signs for teachers will really hit home. I started sleeping in class because I was so depressed that I just didn't care. I didn't care about anything. I would sleep through a hurricane, probably. I always found some excuse to stay after school. I don't know. I mean, I just thought of anything because I didn't want to go home. I would always say, I don't want to go home. And I don't think my teacher got it. She knew something was wrong. I think she kind of felt helpless to the situation. I don't hold that against her in any sense of the word. She was an awesome teacher. I've had a few over the years. So one sign to really look out for is if there's a kid in your class, if you're a teacher and you're watching this, and they always say, I don't want to go home, or they're acting out to be kept after school, that might be a really, really big warning sign that they're in trouble at home, that it's something so serious that they're scared to go home or they don't feel safe. God knows I never felt safe at home. It was a living hell. It's all I could say. It was hell. Another sign for teachers is if the kid always says, and by kid I mean kid or teenager, they're still kids. If a kid says to you, "Oh, I wish you were my mom," or "I wish you were my dad," pay attention. Pay attention to that. One, look at the sound. Listen to the sound of their voice. If they're almost lamenting or really sad and they look down when they're saying it, that's a sign of abuse at home. Because they're afraid to look at anybody in the eye because, for me anyway, I get hit. I got hit over pretty much anything. And I said to some of my teachers that I wish you were my mom, I wish you were my dad. Start keeping a notebook and logging how many times that they say that. Because that might be the only thing that might get the child at that situation. I wish somebody would have done that for me. Because I was in a dangerous situation at home. And my mother didn't help. Not a bit. She let it happen. She saw what he was doing to me, and she let it happen. What kind of a mother would do that? I don't know. I don't talk to her now. Because her latest boyfriend had brainwashed her. Sorry, I'm having a really bad week. It's been very emotional for me. Another sign that teachers can look out for is if the child wears long sleeves. That can either be a sign of they're being physically hit at home to the point that they have to hide bruises, or they're hurting themselves because they feel like they have no control. I wore long sleeves year-round because I was cutting, and I've been cutting since I was 5 years old. Because I felt like that was the only thing I had control of. And it's a real struggle even to this day. I'm not going to say I don't have urges to cut, because I do. Especially recently. I'm sorry, it's a bad week. If a child looks down a whole lot, it's because they're afraid. Or they're ashamed. Bring back a lot of really bad memories for me right now. So obviously I'm, speaking from experience. Also, if a kid, they become so withdrawn that they just sit there and have a blank stare on their face. They don't care what the other kids do anymore. All the things they say and do. They just kind of trance out. If they're sitting there staring straight ahead and they're not responsive, that's another good sign that they're being abused. I wish my teachers would have maybe paid a little more attention. I had some that were so amazing. They kept me safe from the wolves at school. I wish they could have saved me from the wolf at home. But they didn't. And not to their fault. They didn't know. A child is always trained by the adult that's bullying them. Oh, you're never going to be believed. You're never, going to convince people that I'm abusing you. We're just going to make you out to be a liar. DFAX was called on my mother's boyfriend, and he coached me on what to say to them to get them out of our hair. It's amazing I'm not full of scars. Actually, I take that back because I have lots of scars. I don't know if you can kind of see. Yeah, you can see that. Um, that's not even half of them. I'm pretty scarred up. I hated everything so much and I was so hurt that I carved the word hate into my leg. It's still there to this day, obviously. The heart's pretty deep. Teachers, just don't be afraid to say something, to forget the principal because they're usually worth nothing. Go to the police department, call DFAC, and do what you gotta do. Because you might be saving that kid's life. My life probably would have turned out a whole lot different if my teachers would have probably paid a little more attention. But I never, like I said, I never fault them. I think they just didn't know what to do. It's hard because unless you have, hard evidence, it's really hard to get a kid taken out of their home. Unless, you can see the bruises or, stuff like that. But you can't see the scars of emotional abuse. You can't see the internal scars, which I will carry to my dying day. I'm gonna go ahead and end this video because I'm really, oh, by the way, I was also trained not to cry. So crying for me just came with the leadership. So I'm gonna go because I feel like I need to end this right now. But I'll be doing more videos. I think it's really important. So bye, y'all.